Hello and welcome to Lingfield Park. Today we have a full card here of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 races, and I'm going to cover all of them for you in as far as my tips go for today. So starting in our first race, we go for a horse called Tortured Soul to beat At Liberty and Ascents. Alright, so looking on the field there, we see the Racing Post forecast at 9-4 Tortured Soul, 11-4 At Liberty, and 14-1 Ascents. Now, looking at these figures here is how I pick the horses. Now, there's nothing you can't do yourself here, so I'm just going to show you the top selection, Tortured Soul, on how we get the rating in this column, which is column X on the Excel spreadsheet. This horse has a rating of 33,669, and I will show you how to get this. So go back into the Racing Post and click on Tortured Soul. Now, there's nothing to do with weights or the jockey out of form or the same with the trainer. There's nothing that complicates this system. All you need to do is go to the last 3 races. You go to the position of the horse and you can see it was first with 9 runners, then it was first with 10 runners, and its third race back it was third with 12 runners. So back into here you can see 9-1, then 10-1 and 12-3, exactly what it says on the form card. Now in between that we have the stakes. So in the first race, its last race, where it was first of 9, it ran for a stake of 3,140. This is the winning stake for that race. So we click on the race itself, open it up. You can see Tortured Soul had won that race. It wasn't like he had finished second and been promoted to first. He had won that race. And as you can see there, it says 3,140. We don't worry about the pence. And that goes in that next column. So in the second race, it was first of 10 runners, and we've got 4,972. So again, we go into the form card. We see it came first of 10 runners, and there was the stake, the winning stake, 4,972. And in the third race down, it came third of 12. You can see that on my spreadsheet, third of 12, and the winning stake there was 5,757. And as we click on that, we just scroll down a bit and see that Tortured Soul finished third. He was not promoted or dropped down from first to third. He officially finished third. So 5,757 was the winning purse. And then what I do is a formula at the end here with all of this together, and it comes up with 33,669. I do that with all 11 horses in that race. Exactly the same. I'll just quickly show you. We'll click on a horse down the bottom this time called Smith. And you'll see the form on the horse was 10th of 10, 5th of 7, and 8th of 10. So we just go back into it. We can see 10th of 10, 5th of 7, and 8th of 10. And again, the same way, by clicking on each line of form, going to the top left hand corner, will give us the winning purse. And my system here will combine all those totals and then put them in a descending order so we can have the top selection at the top. Alright, so that's how I picked those 3, maybe 4. But over here on an empty box we have Betfair SP. So what I'm going to show you now is quickly we'll open up the Betfair page. And we're on the exchange here. And we'll click on horse racing, today's card. And then we'll go to Lingfield, and you can see this is live at the time because we're still in the morning of the 7th of March 2024. So we're going to go into Lingfield for the 140. Right, these are prices at this stage of the day, and they're running on around 108%. So they're going to be a lot better than what I'm going to show you. Now, at the moment, you can see that Tortured Soul is 3. So as we go back into here, we put 3. So what we want to do, we want to bet on Tortured Soul. Now, my stake money here on the right-hand column brings you back £200. So you would need to lay out £100 stake here. And this is based on what we call Dutching. So you back your top selection and you keep going down and down and down and down and down until you staked £100. Then you stop because you're then on an even money shot. So we can see that we have laid out here 66, 67. But of course, you would do this at least 5 minutes before the race because you would be on better than 108. So our next horse we would back would be At Liberty. So we go in here and we see At Liberty is 4. Alright, we can quickly change Tortured Soul to 3.1. And At Liberty would now be 4. But because it says £50 here, and we've already staked 64.52 on Tortured Soul, our maximum stake here has to be £35.48. And it means we can't afford to bet on anyone else in that race. And you can see at the bottom here, there's £100 staked. So if one of these two was to win, we would show some kind of profit. There would be 200 back if Tortured Soul wins, and you would get 4 times 35, which is around £140 back if At Liberty was to win. So you would show a profit on those two. Now moving into the second race this afternoon, the 2:15 at Lingfield. There are 3 horses in this race that are unraced. And also, a lot of these horses haven't managed to run on an average 3 times. So this race, really and truthfully, for me, would be a no bet. But I understand a lot of people do like betting in every race. And if so, my top selection here would be Roger Henry. So if we go back to the racing post, we'll go down to the second race of the day. And Roger Henry here would be around 5-1, so they make it. And you can see for yourself, Poles Apart, Lizzie Lovett and Golden Path are all unraced. When I click on Poles Apart, You can see for yourself there, no race record for this horse. Right, so Roger Henry would be my top selection. So if we go back into Betfair, we would look at our second race, and the favourite here would be Havana False, but we want Roger Henry at 5.5. Now this is definitely going to be a no race for me, but I just want to see or show you how it pans out. Again, your stake needs to be £100, and on Roger Henry you've got £36.36, so it means we can drop down to the second horse. Now the second horse is Havana False, and this is 3.45, and there you go, £57.97. So these two added up at the moment come to £94.33. So it means the maximum now that we can lay out on horse number 3 would be £5.67. So we'll just have a look at Pentacle. And Pentacle is third favourite at 7.6, but we can only lay out here £5.67, and zero on all the rest, and again down the bottom that brings you up to £100 stake. Now if one of the first two were to win, you would get your even money there, and you would get £200 if Roger Henry won, or £200 if Havana False was to win. But Pentacle, all you would get back here, and this is up to you if you can't do the last one, whether you do it at all, is you've got your 7.6 price times your £5.67 stake. So you would get £43 back, but it would be better than losing all of your £100 stake. So that is race number 2. That's the 2:15 this afternoon at Lingfield. And now we're going on to race 3. This is the 2:45. And again, we'll click on the racing post. A 9-horse handicap here, class 4, 5,757 to the winner. And King Carbo, roughly third favourite there. Alright, so what we're going to do this time is go back into Betfair. We're going to scroll down to the 2:45. Now don't forget, again, this race here is already 7% over round. And just going back to that 2:15, I didn't really check on that. Look at that, 14% over at the moment. You must only bet on these races about 5 minutes before the off, or at some point if you see this over round at about 1:01. So let's get back to the 2:45 at Lingfield. And our top selection there is King Carbo, which presently is 6.8. So 6.8 there tells us we need to stake £29.41 on this horse. Then we move down to our second selection, the Thames Boatman. Now the Thames Boatman is showing 4.9, and that means now we've laid out around just over £70, so we've still got £30 to play with, and we've got a horse called Revenite for third, which is 14.5 at the moment. You will find with this system that it does bring up outsiders. You don't necessarily just keep doing favourites. So these three now added up together come to £84.02. So we have around £16 still to play with. We're going to be looking, which is the favourite next, Boson, at 4.7. Now this tells us we need to have £42 on it, but of course we don't have that left in the kitty. All we have is £15.98. And there we go, at the bottom there, that will stake £100. So this is what we call Dutching. So you would back King Carbo to get yourself 200, the Thames Boatman would return you 200, and Revenite would return you 200. But if Boson was to win, we'll just get the calculator out again to show you here. Your price would be 4.7 and your stake would be £15.98. And that would give you back £75.10. So again, if this one came in, at least you're only going to lose £25 on that race. And now we're going to move on to race number 4, which is the 320. So again, we'll go back into the racing post. The 320 is the Sprint Cup today, a listed race, Class 1, £31,614 to the winner. They give Queen of Safine to beat Ulm and Watch My Tracer, and I think unfortunately we're pretty much with them. But we're going with a horse called Ulm here. So we'll go into Betfair, and again we will move forward now to the 320. And Ulm at the moment is showing at 3.7. Remember again, the over round up here is 106.7. It's too heavy to bet on. So again, 5 minutes before the race starts, showing at the moment 3.7. And that's a stake of £54.05. Don't forget, when you get that difference of that 6%, the later you bet, it might mean you can have less money on the same horse, more money on others, and maybe drop down to the next selection that we're not covering here at the moment. I will do this again after racing with the Betfair SP so we can see where we went wrong or what we've done right by waiting for those prices. Right, the next horse down, Watch My Tracer. Now, Watch My Tracer is out at the moment to 23. That's quite a big price for that horse, 23, and that means we would have £8.70 on it. And then again, we've got a horse here. I don't really like horses that haven't run 3 times to give a proper average. This has only run twice, so we'll see this again after racing. And Queen of Safine at the moment is 2.34, which is just under 11 to 8. And that tells us we need £85 on it. But with the first 2 here, the staking comes to 62.75. It means that we've got 37.25 left. So that's all we can possibly have on that horse. And again, you'll see 100 staked at the bottom. If Ulm was to win, you would get 200 back. If Watch My Tracer was to win, you would also get 200 back. And if Queen of Safine wins, we'll just go into our calculator. 234, the price, times 37.25 would return us £87. So we would just be £13 out of pocket if the favourite wins, but we have 2 other horses running for us other than the favourite. So that is race 4. We're now going to go on to race 5. This again is a Class 6 handicap, 5757 to the winner, or £5,757 to the winner. Nearly choked there. Right, so again, you will see in the racing post, that's up to date at the moment. They go with My Mate Mike as the joint favourite, 4-1 with Rabinal. So we'll go back into Betfair, and 3.55 at Lingfield, and we've gone for Rabinal. So Rabinal there at the moment is showing 6.6, which means our stake will be £30.30. Again, the over round here is not good at all. It's 113. This is really poor. So Chic. You can also look here at So Chic is just drifted out to 9 there. So we would need 22.22. So that's just over half our stake used. Our third horse would be My Mate Mike, which is trading at 6. So £33.33 needs to go onto this. And it means now we've staked just over £85. So we can only have a maximum of £15 on our next one, which is going to be Almodovar del Rio, which is 16. So that's £12.50 on this one, and that leaves us now with £1.64 to play with. So I can't see that being massive price. We've got Mount Mogan, and Mount Mogan there is 32. And that's it again. You can see we've laid out the £100 at the bottom, and if Rabinal was the win, we would return 200. If So Chic was the win, we would return 200 also. If My Mate Mike wins, it will be the same 200. Almodovar del Rio would also be 200 return. And if Mount Mogan was the win, this is just our odd money that we had over. 32 was the price, times £1.64 gives you £52.48, so you would return roughly half your money. Now don't forget, when you do pick a return up of 200, Betfair will charge you 5% out of your winnings. So effectively you would win 100, depending on the price, of course. If you staked 30 and got back 200, you will win 170. They will take 5%, which will be £8.50. So that was the 3.55. Now we're going to move into the 4.30. So we'll go and look at this. Now the 4.30, there is a non-runner in this one. That's Perfect Focus. That leaves 7 runners, which I'm already down to anyway. And they go Hannah's Return 15-8. So we'll go back into Betfair and we will drop on to the 4:30. And we will look at our selection where we have given Hannah's Return. Now Hannah's Return at the moment is showing just under 6-4 at 2.48. But again, the over round here, 113.8, is very poor. We wouldn't be doing this race until 5 minutes before the off. Then you have Moorgate for second. Well, they've got Moorgate for second at 3.8. And as we've had £80.65 on Hannah's Return, we can only afford £19.35 to be staked on our second selection. So Hannah's Return would return 200. And if we just bring the calculator up again, we can see that our price of 3.8 for Moorgate times the stake of £19.35 would give us 73.53, so a loss of £27. But again, it's better to do these than it is just to do one horse in the race where you're going to lose the whole of your stake. And into the final race, the 7th race, back into the racing post. You can see there, that's the end, that's the final race. The 505, they've got something to do as 9-4 favourite. So we'll click back into Betfair. And then we'll go back into my spreadsheet where we've got something to do as favourite. And they've got 3.35 here, over round of 107.6, that's just dropped to, so that's getting better. So 335 for something to do, which is just over 9-4. The stakes there would be nearly £60. Our second selection would be Mamaluka, which at the moment is 7. So we put that in, and now we've laid out about £86, so we've got £14 left, and we're going to be putting that on Run Joy Run, and that currently is 8.6. So we'll look at the stakes, which are 111.53, so we need to cut this down here to 73, is that right? Let me have a look. Yeah, that's correct. So again, if something to do wins, you will return £200. If Mamaluka wins, you will return £200. And we'll just get the calculator out once more. If Run Joy Run was to win at 8.6, you times that by your stake of 11.73. And as you can see, you will get your stake money back. So you have 3 horses running for you in the last. 2 will break evens for you. And the 3rd horse there, if this was to come through and win, you wouldn't lose, you'd get your money back. Now, if you don't like using sites like Betfair or don't understand the trading prices and the back and the lays, you can always go into Odds Checker. Now, Odds Checker, let me just change that for a minute. Let's get in Odds Checker. And we'll go into, I think it's already on horse racing, but we need to go into today. And let's view the race in the 140, the first race here. It's just as complicated because you need to have a lot of accounts. So I just want to show you, we'll go back to race 1. Now, Tortured Soul, you would look here, and the best price that you would get for Tortured Soul today, as it stands in red here, but don't go down this end because these are like Betfair Matchbook, and these are your exchanges. So start with a proper bookmaker, high street bookmaker. You can still bet online. 15-8 is the best that you will get for Tortured Soul. That will be at Unibet or Spreadex. So what you do with 15-8, you would add a point and you would have 2.875. That would give you your price for Tortured Soul, and again, £69.57 would be your stake. Then we move to our second selection, which would be At Liberty, and you can basically see 11-4 is the best all round there with most bookmakers. And 11-4 plus that 1 point would be 375, and because we changed that second one manually, that's not going to automatically change. So let's have a look. Right, so 53.33 would be too much, and we need to put £30.43 on there to return 100. Right, now as we just work backwards here, we can see that we've had £70 nearly on Tortured Soul and £30 on At Liberty. So as we go backwards, We've had less money on Tortured Soul at Betfair of 64.52, and where we had £30 on at Liberty, we've had £35 on here, because we had only laid out 64, so it gave us more playing money to put on at Liberty, and we've got 35 on that, and it was only 11-4 with the high street bookmakers as opposed to 3-1 on Betfair. But remembering on Betfair, out of your profits they will take 5%. So you can go through every race if you want to and use these high street bookmakers, but the prices are normally worse. You can make a better profit on them, but it's very seldom. So we'll just go back to the racing again today. We've given Tortured Soul in the first race. You can get a small profit of around £40 for your 100 if that Liberty was to win, but of course if both of them was to lose, you would lose all your stake. Race 2 wouldn't be a bet for me because I never know how an unraced horse will feature in that race, whether they will hold it up to finish fourth like a lot of them do, or whether any of these could be better, because most of these horses in this race, the form figures are not very good. Only the top one in Roger Henry, that could take some beating. Moving into race 3, a bit of an open handicap. We've got King Carbo, the Thames Boatman and Revenite, and a small loss if Boson was to win. Into race 4, this is the feature race of the day, the listed stakes, the big race at Lingfield, the 320. We've gone for Orne and Watch My Tracer, good price that, 23. Whether that'll hold on or get worse, I don't know. And Queen of Zafine would get your money back if this was to win the race. Then into race 5, another open handicap. We've got 4 horses here to run at even money for us, and nearly half the money back if Almodovar del Rio wins. So we'll be on Rabinal, So Chic, My Mate Mike, Almodovar del Rio. Sorry, I did say that one would get half your money back, but that would get you 200 back, and it was Mount Mogan that would get half your stake. And moving into the 6th race, we've given the favourite there, Hannah's Return, and again we'd make a small loss if Moorgate was to win, but it's better than losing all of your money. And the last race, Something to Do, we've got to win. We've also got Mamaluka to win at even money, and Run Joy Run would give us our money back. So we'll have 3 runners out the 7. One would give us our stake back, and one of the other 2 would give us a return of even money. We'd get 200 back, whereas we've staked 100 on all 3 horses. So if anyone's got any comments, you can let me know there, or if there's any race that you want me to go back on and do the form for, because there's no cheating, it's all there for you. I've shown you how to do the form of the horse. It works the same for every horse in every race. Yeah, and leave a like and subscribe if you can, and I will put a second video on after the racing's finished, and we'll see how we did for the day with the true prices from Betfair. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch up later. Thank you.